Hello everyone. If you're like me and you enjoy hunting public land, you know that these guys tend to get walking feet. Let's go over some of my top tips on how to keep these guys from getting stolen. All right, so one mistake that I see a lot of people do, they like to put their trail camera on a deer trail. Well, why wouldn't you want to put a trail camera on a deer trail? I mean, you're trying to get a picture of deer, right? Actually, the trouble with pictures on deer trails, humans like to walk these deer trails as well. So just remember, deer are creatures of habit. They like to utilize edge, all right? So instead of putting your trail camera on a deer trail, put it on an edge somewhere. All right, so that's likely to have human traffic walk by it. So let's go do that right now. When it comes to public hunting land, think different. So a lot of people like to put their trail cameras on trails. I don't blame them. I mean, actually, I started out doing that. The trouble is I got pictures of people. If I got pictures of deer, they'd be at night, but think differently. My goal on public land is to find a shooter buck, nothing less, nothing more. All right, I think too many people put their cameras on rub lines, on scrape, so on and so forth. Now, if you're hunting some really massive public land, you know, where you got thousands and thousands of square miles, that might be a little bit different story. But for the most part, I'm taking my trail cameras and I'm putting them on edges, all right? A lot of people don't walk an edge from one end to the other. In this case here, I have some cattails behind me. And then right over here, I have some cedar trees making a nice edge. As a matter of fact, there is a faint little trail back here. And there is a little bit of a water hole right there, all right? So I'm gonna put a trail camera right up here along one of these cedar trees. Actually, I can use some of the cedar branches to help cover that up just a bit to make it even more undetectable to human presence, all right? So my goal is to keep these cameras as hidden as possible, but to just find out what type of animals reside on this property. I'm not, like I said, I'm not looking to pattern, just to find out what's out here. Backdoor buck. So if you must feel like you have to put a trail camera, okay, right on a trail, what I like to do is called backdooring a buck. So most people are also going to walk down this trail, in this case, the same direction. Because most people set up with their stands further down that way. All right, and when I look behind me, essentially the back door, there's the camera up top. And then what I do is I use a climbing stick to get it up there. And if you can see, I have a little stick on the back side of that camera, angling it downward. And then once again, I'm using parachute cord, so it can't be seen from behind. And this is what I call backdooring a buck. And most people, when they come out at night, they're going to be coming down this trail back this direction, and they're probably going to have their head down, headlamp down, looking at the ground, see where they, you know, so they don't trip at night. And then in most cases, if they do look up, their headlamp will be on, and a lot of times the headlamp will drown out the infrared flash if you're using, let's say, a cheaper camera. If it's black flash, they won't see it at all. So that's a neat little trick that I've used in the past. Just understand the direction that most hunters go during the daytime, and then the direction they don't. It's not foolproof, but it helps. Years ago, I used to use straps as well, and I just ditched the straps completely. They carry human scent. And if you look, they're basically a signpost 360 degrees around that tree, letting people know that there's a trail camera connected to that tree. I would even say deer can sometimes see that as well. Right, Lillian? I don't think Lily really cares. although a lot of people do. So ditch that strap. Paracord. So if you look at the tree, same tree that I had that previous camera on, and that paracord is much, much harder to see where that trail camera is. Okay, trail camera is still on the back side. That paracord is much harder to see. Anything that is in uniform is very easy to spot. Whether it be a trail camera or tree stand or even movement. So whenever you hang a trail camera, you want to stay away from anything that has uniform. In this particular case, this is an old pine plantation. Let's take a look at what's not uniform. So once again, camouflage, the ability to hide and basically fit in with your environment. So as I was mentioning before, uniform, like a pine plantation or anything that has that same shape or form over and over, makes things very easy to spot. Now in this particular case, we have a lot of stuff going on here to the human eye. Got some branches, some trees, kind of a gnarly tree over there. And as you can tell, I have my camera with, again, the paracord on it, hooked right up into this tree here. But if you look around, I have a lot of branches. There's just a lot of busyness to the human eye going on right now. Public land, I like to use evergreens when hiding trail cameras. They hold their needles usually all season long. And they don't blow around in the wind as much as, let's say, a deciduous tree. So you got your evergreen here. I like to find these little pockets sometimes and take that trail camera and stick it way in the back and just have it poke through that little hole. And catch these deer as they walk through. Another trick I like to use is utilizing a vine or another branch. In this case, we have a big thick vine that's wrapped around that tree, and I can hide my python cable. For the trail camera. I believe these have saved a lot of trail cameras of mine in the past. I know they're not cheap. I tend to get the camo with the brown, and then I usually try some type of vine or branch or gnarliness or whatever you want to call it to keep these trail cameras hidden. But you know, they can still come and get that trail camera if they really want it bad enough by cutting that python cable. But for the casual guy walking by, it'll deter him at least, unless he really wants to make the effort to come back and get this particular trail camera. So python cable. I used to roll with those Tasco trail cameras from Walmart, and I still have a few left. But one of the things that kind of persuaded me not to utilize those anymore on public land is that the doors cannot essentially lock and be locked with that python cable. I found these particular cameras not too long ago, and they're made by Stealth Cam, and they're more of the cheapo version. I found them on sale one time for 33 bucks a piece, so I picked up a few, and they actually make a really good trail camera for public land for that purpose. Now, I don't want people going in here, taking my SD card out, reading what's on it, erasing maybe what's on it, and then putting it back or even stealing the SD card. So I like to be able to lock this door, put that guy on there, and then take the cord here and just run that all the way through, essentially keeping it locked. There's no way they can get that open. So once again, a nice feature on these particular trail cameras. Also, I use the Tacticam reveals. I do throw a few of those out on public land as well, and those also have that same door. Years ago, I used to get these stickers. I buy them off of Amazon. I think this also helped to deter people from stealing trail cameras. Essentially a GPS tracking device installed. Whether you have one or not installed, well, they don't need to know that. And I believe for myself, it's kept a lot of trail cameras from getting stolen. I don't usually put these stickers on my cameras anymore. I have some of these really old wild game innovation cameras, but ever since I put these stickers on, it seemed like I never had an issue. So I have private land over on my left here, which is basically a woods meets a cornfield. And the deer like to travel from the public to the private and back and forth. Now I'm gonna go across the road here, and to my right is where I have the public land. If you can tell, there's kind of an edge right over here. I have a trail camera only about 50 yards into the woods, swampy area. There's a very light trail that these deer like to come and crisscross. The parking for the public land is about 300 yards behind me. So people just do not come and walk down this direction. I've never had anybody on this particular trail camera. And it's kind of a nice little spot that I can put a camera in and get pictures of what kind of deer are located in the swampy public marsh woods per se. Just because people, like I said, they all come from the parking lot and head deeper that direction. So another nice little tip is to place those trail cameras right on the roadside where they can crisscross from public over into private. So anything that would have an edge, a water hole, maybe the food plot on the private, you can look on your aerial maps and then keep those trail cameras right on that roadside edge. And people just are not going to be in those areas, or not as much, I should say. And you can see more deer on trail cameras. So hopefully these tips help you keep your cameras staying put on public land. Nothing is 100% foolproof. If people really want something, they're going to get it. But like I said earlier, these particular tips have, that I've utilized in the past 20 years, have really kept my cameras protected. Now for today's filming purposes, I didn't put the Python cable on every camera. Just to show you some of the different ways that you can utilize cameras and keep them from getting stolen. But my personal way I do trail cameras, I have that Python cable on every single camera. And I think that, once again, that really deters people from getting your cameras. And even if they don't steal your cameras, I've heard people of obviously getting their SD cards stolen, batteries taken out of their particular camera. Some people, have the solar panels or the external batteries hooked up, and those will get unplugged by individuals. So yeah, do what you can to keep these cameras protected. That information is very valuable in my eyes. Matter of fact, in some cases, I'd rather have them steal the camera and leave the SD card. So until next time, please like and subscribe, and tell me your thoughts down below if there's anything that you do to keep your trail cameras staying put on public or even private land. Once again, see you next time. Clint from Oak and Iron Outdoors.